Hello everybody, take a look at what I have for you today. This is the Kershaw Induction, and now this here was a knife that was introduced over 1 year ago at SHOT Show 2016, and as of right now it is June 2017 and this knife is finally coming to fruition. And so this is available now at Kershaw Guy, and he was the first dealer I've seen to have these in stock, not on pre-order but actually in stock. So big props to him. I ordered it on Friday evening, and today it is Monday, and it is in my hands right here. So I wanted to show this knife off because when I saw it introduced back in 2016, it just looked like a beauty. It looked like a winner. And now this knife right here is designed by Grant and Gavin Hawk. So right here in the background, if you can see an older Kershaw model, this is the Ram, the Kershaw Ram, and it uses the same Hawk lock system, which has this really cool release lever on the side, and they all have these nice flippers. Very cool, very easy to manipulate. So there's no assisted action here. It is all the action of the flipper that opens the knife. So this knife right here is a bit different than the Ram, of course, the Ram being the older model. This one was produced in China, so it is an overseas model. So 8CR13 MOV blade. And I'm not sure why it took so long to get this particular knife to market, but I think it's worth picking up because, of course, the Ram over here is long out of production, and they are very hard to come by. This one right here hopefully will be more readily available given that it's foreign production, but you never know when they're going to discontinue it. And so I think it's definitely worth your time checking it out. If the Hawk lock interests you, if Grant and Gavin Hawk's work interests you, it's a really cool collaboration. And so some of the specs of the knife: it does have aluminum handles. It has this insert on the front side, the show side. It's like a GFN glass-fill nylon insert. So it looks something like a G10, but it is not actual G10. And of course the lock is on the front side of the knife. So if it looks similar to an Axis lock, it unlocks in a similar way in that you can move down and then bring the blade down. But you can't, unlike the Ram, you can't really flick it out that way like I can on the Ram. So there might have been a change in design slightly, because with this one here you can hold the button down and flip out the knife. And this one's a lot smoother because it's been worked in, whereas this one, it has a pretty strong detent holding that blade in when you work the lock. The flipper, though, right there on the tip, works beautifully. Very great action. And of course the blade itself looks pretty good. It's like this spear point blade, has a deep swedge on the top, and the flats are satin finished, and the grind has that black coating on it, so it gives you a nice two-toned finish. So super cool. You can see the centering is very nice, and this is right out of the box. It has a pocket clip, of course, not a deep carry pocket clip, and this is one thing I noticed: it is reversible for left and right hand carry, tip up. But I also noticed it uses 2 screws on it, but this is not the same dimensions as a standard Kershaw pocket clip, like the pocket clip that you'll see on the Skyline, for instance, which also uses 2 screws to hold it on there. And that's a little bit of a disappointment because I know they make a lot of aftermarket clips for those knives, and it would be nice to be able to swap a deep carry clip onto this one. And I've noticed a lot of the Chinese production knives do something slightly different with the pocket clips. The dimensions are usually just slightly off compared to the American knives. And I don't know if it's meant that way on purpose, or if it's just a difference with metric measurements or not, or maybe just a slight oversight. But this is not going to be interchangeable with any of the other Kershaw knives, at least not the standard 2-screw, 2-hole pocket clip like on the Kershaw Skyline. So keep that in mind too. So of course this knife right here, the only other thing that I really noticed out of the box, and of course this is something that was immediately apparent, is that when you shake the knife, you can hear there's something in there. And again, I don't know if that's something part of the action, but I do know for this knife you shake it and you don't hear a sound. So the Ram doesn't have it, but this one does. And I don't know if it's just this example of the knife that I have that does it, but it shakes no matter whether the knife is open or closed. So again, maybe a slight downside. I know sometimes your torsion bar knives from Kershaw will shake when the knife is opened. Again, it's not the end of the world. It's just something that you need to know about. So I thought I'd mention it. But the lockup is pretty good. Once the knife is open, there's no play at all. So that's also very nice. And the specs are 3.1 inch blade, overall length 7.6 inches. And so it's hard to see on camera, but these two knives are pretty much identical in overall size. I mean, I think on camera it's actually pretty easy to see. But even the curves, they both have this nice choil for the grip that's up near the blade. Both very comfortable to hold. This one does not have jimping on the top, so keep that in mind. And let's take a look at the weight. On the website, it advertised 3.75 ounces, I should say. And it weighs in 3.96 ounces. So it's a little bit heavier than advertised on the Kershaw website. But still a really cool design. Let me show you the thickness comparing these two. Looks like the Induction is a little bit thicker than the RAM. But again, this is one I was really looking forward to, and I really do like the style. I like the design. I like the designers of the knife. So Grant and Gavin Hawk, pretty cool hawk lock. And you don't see it on too many knives because it has to be licensed out, of course. And they tend to do higher end work. So to see it on a production knife is pretty awesome there. But even just the style of the blade, I love the two-tone finish. For those of you who don't like the billboards on knives, you can see how much text is on there, which I usually don't mind, although there's a bit on there. But super nice, easy to carry knife, not too heavy. I guess 4 ounces is pushing it for some people for an everyday carry type of knife. But HCR 13 MOV should work just fine for you. It's the standard Chinese steel, and for the price of around $40 shipped, that's a great deal. So I would recommend going to Kershaw Guy, getting this knife right now while you can, while they're in stock. I don't see them in stock at any other dealers as of today, Monday, June 26th, but that could totally change, and I'm sure it will. I'm sure it's going to be available everywhere. But I've just been constantly trolling for this knife ever since it was announced, and the fact that it's over a year ago it was announced, and now it's finally in my hands. This one took a long time to come home, but I'm really glad that it did. So again, if you have any questions, please do let me know. This is one of my knives that I've been looking forward to for quite a while, so I was super excited to see it in stock, and just make the comparisons between the RAM, which is US production, and now the Induction, which is foreign production, Chinese production. But both using the hot clock, both feel pretty nice in hand, and I'm sure it's going to be a great slicer with this blade here. But again, thanks for watching, everybody. Feel free to leave a comment, ask me any questions. Have a great day, and goodbye.